They say the halls of the English court shimmered with music, perfume, and the gleam of gold. But look closer, linger in the shadows behind the tapestries, and you'll discover a different story. You'll hear whispers, secrets too dangerous to be recorded in official histories. And so many of these fearful whispers begin with the same name: Henry VIII, the king of 6 wives, and an insatiable hunger for control, a desire far more consuming than the crown he wore. This isn't a tale of the king as a symbol of power. It's the story of the women who stood beside him. Women the royal court desperately tried to silence, to erase from the narrative. Because behind every practiced smile, behind every carefully crafted portrait, lay secrets steeped in fear. Catherine of Aragon was the first. History often paints her as strong, loyal, and endlessly patient. But few truly understand the toll those years took on her spirit. When she first married Henry, she believed she had found sanctuary. England was a cold land, but Henry was warm, charming, brimming with promises. Yet, as the years passed and she failed to produce a male heir, that warmth slowly faded, like a candle burning down to its last flicker. The court watched the shift in Henry's gaze, the growing disappointment. Servants whispered later that he would pass Catherine in the corridor without a single word, as if she were already a ghost haunting her own palace. They also murmured that Catherine slept with a rosary clutched tightly in her hand, because it was the only thing she felt she could still trust in that treacherous court. Then came Anne Boleyn, the woman so often blamed for everything. But the truth is far more complex and nuanced. Anne wasn't a witch, some fiery seductress born to tempt kings. She was an intelligent woman who understood that the court was a battlefield, a constant struggle for survival. Henry desired her, and she believed she could use that desire to protect herself, to elevate her family. But she tragically underestimated how quickly affection could transform into mortal danger. During Anne's ascent to power, members of the court learned to carefully conceal their thoughts, to mask their true feelings. No one dared speak too loudly. No one dared to meet her gaze for too long. They'd all witnessed how a single smile from Anne could catapult her friends to wealth and influence, or how a single frown could utterly destroy someone. But the fear surrounding her was nothing compared to the fear that gnawed at her from within. At night, she paced the palace halls, unable to find sleep, knowing that every step she took deeper into the king's heart also pushed her closer to the edge of a precipice. When she finally gave birth to a daughter instead of the longed-for son, that precipice crumbled beneath her. The court feigned mourning at her execution, but everyone knew they had been watching the countdown for months, anticipating her downfall. Jane Seymour arrived like a breath of quiet air after a violent storm. Gentle, soft-spoken, choosing her words with meticulous care. She knew exactly what had befallen Anne. She understood the depths of what Henry was capable, and so she never argued, never challenged him, never allowed the court to glimpse her true emotions, the secrets she held within. But surviving Henry demanded more than just patience. It required a considerable amount of luck. She died shortly after, finally giving Henry the male heir he so desperately craved, and some whispered that the king looked almost relieved at her funeral, as if her death had spared him the difficult decision of whether he still loved her, whether she still pleased him. Jane's silence was lauded, but in the end, even silence couldn't save her. Anne of Cleves was different, an anomaly. She entered the story like a puzzle piece that simply didn't fit the picture. Henry claimed she wasn't as beautiful as he had expected, but no one truly understood what had so violently changed his heart, what had soured him so completely. Some servants claimed he felt deceived, that he had been misled. Others said he was simply humiliated that he couldn't conceal his profound disappointment. But here's the strange twist. Honest or by, the marriage was annulled, yet Henry kept her close as his dear sister, and some whispered that he treated her so kindly only because she had seen too much, because she had witnessed the king's unbridled fury firsthand and could reveal what he was truly like behind the closed doors of the palace. Then came Catherine Howard, A girl so young and vulnerable that she seemed to possess a fragile, almost ethereal glow, like a candle flame in the darkness. But the court blew on that flame from every direction. Envy, lust, judgment, malicious gossip, and it didn't take long for it to be extinguished. She was trapped in a world she barely understood, surrounded by people who sought to exploit her innocence, to use her as a stepping stone to climb higher in the treacherous hierarchy. And when Henry discovered her indiscretions, the rage he unleashed was far greater, far more disproportionate than the sins she had actually committed. Some claimed she ran through the corridors, frantically begging for mercy before her execution. But the truth is simpler and far more tragic. She died terrified, whispering fragmented prayers she barely remembered. Catherine Parr, her last wife, survived, not because Henry loved her more than the others, but because she learned from the fates of all the women who came before her. She studied their stories as a student studies disasters, meticulously analyzing every mistake. She spoke gently, acted cautiously, veiled her intelligence behind soft smiles, and kept her deepest thoughts carefully locked away, inaccessible to the prying eyes of the court. But even she was nearly arrested for treason when Henry suspected she was becoming too clever, too confident, too close to his children. Catherine Parr lived in the same palace as the king, but every morning she woke up wondering if that day would be her last. That is not the life of a queen, that is the life of a prisoner, living under a constant sentence of fear. When Henry VIII finally died, the court mourned loudly and publicly, but hidden behind their carefully crafted tears was a collective, silent exhale. The kind that escapes when a long and terrible storm finally passed. The 6 queens left 6 shadows behind them, shadows that still cling to the palace walls, whispering their untold stories. And the truth, the one the royal court never wanted to utter aloud, is this: Henry VIII did not simply marry 6 women. He consumed them, devoured them, their hopes, their dreams, their very futures. Each wife was not just a partner, but a victim, a casualty of a king whose power was simply too immense, too overwhelming for any human heart to endure. Today, their portraits hang in museums, serene and elegant. But if you look closely, if you truly study their painted eyes, you may still glimpse the lingering fear that history has desperately tried to erase, the terror that still echoes through the centuries. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this look into the darker side of history, be sure to subscribe for more.